Where your money really goes. Have you ever stopped to think about how many money-related decisions you make every single day? You wake up, and the choices begin. Make coffee at home or buy it on the way. Take the subway to work or call a taxi. Scroll your feed, see an ad. Buy now or save it for later? Only a few minutes have passed, and you've already made more than 3 decisions. By the end of the day, it won't be dozens. It will be hundreds. Now here's a question that sounds simple, but isn't. Where does your salary actually come from? Most people answer automatically. My company pays me, or the government transfers the money. But that's just the surface. A company isn't a vault with unlimited cash. In reality, your salary is the result of a long chain of decisions made every day by millions of people. Someone bought a product. Someone took out a loan. Someone invested in a business or a technology. That entire chain is what we call the economy. So a logical question follows. Why did coffee in your favorite cafe get more expensive even though the beans cost the same? Why did the bank approve your loan and then deny one a few months later? Why does your company report record profits while your salary stays exactly the same? And most importantly, why do economic news stories that seem far away end up controlling your everyday life? Usually, we only see the top layer, the price tag in a store, the balance on our card, the fare in a taxi app. But underneath is a complex mechanism: supply chains, currency fluctuations, decisions by regulators and central banks. In a few minutes, you'll have a simple framework that explains all of this, because economics isn't an abstract science for textbooks. It's a user manual for the world we live in, where economics really begins. Everything starts with an uncomfortable fact we prefer not to notice. We make choices not because we enjoy choosing, but because we can't have everything at once. Imagine this. You have $100 and 2 free hours on a Saturday. You want to go to the movies for $50 and buy good meat for dinner, also $50. Time-wise, you want to spend 1 hour with friends and 1 hour at the gym. But both money and time are limited. Something has to be given up. This is the core economic problem. Resources are always limited, while desires are almost unlimited. You'll never have enough money, time, or energy for everything. A company won't have the budget for every project. A government won't have funds for every program. Every decision is a compromise. Economists call this a trade-off. And what you give up is called opportunity cost. Not the money you spent, but the value of the best alternative you didn't choose. If you went to the movies, the opportunity cost isn't the ticket price. It's the home-cooked dinner you didn't have. This principle applies everywhere, from personal spending to government policy. In 2020, countries faced a brutal choice: lock down economies to save lives but lose economic activity, or keep economies open and risk overwhelming healthcare systems. GDP losses in the EU in the second quarter of 2020 were around 11%. That was the price paid to preserve the system. In economics, there are rarely right or wrong decisions. There is only informed choice and an understanding of what you're sacrificing. People, work, and specialization. If resources are limited, how did humanity create so much abundance? The answer is simple: specialization. Instead of doing everything a little bit, people began doing one thing, but very well. Back in the 18th century, Adam Smith described this using a pin factory. One worker doing all tasks alone could make about 20 pins a day. But when 10 workers split the process into stages, production jumped to tens of thousands per day. The same principle drives the modern world. When Henry Ford introduced the assembly line, car assembly time fell from 12 hours to about 90 minutes. Today, Specialization goes even further. Robots handle routine tasks, while humans focus on more complex ones. Even food delivery works this way. One person cooks, another delivers, a third writes the app's code. Imagine if a courier tried to do everything alone: grow the food, cook it, bake the bread, and then deliver it. One burger would cost as much as a plane ticket. Specialization makes the economy efficient, but it also creates interdependence. No country and no company can do everything on its own. Prices, demand, and the market. So how do we know what an hour of work or a cup of coffee is worth? That's where the market comes in, the place where buyers and sellers meet. Prices aren't set from above. They form automatically through supply and demand. Picture a rainy Friday evening. You open a taxi app and see higher prices. Why? Demand surged, supply stayed the same. Some riders give up, more drivers go online, and the market finds balance. The same logic explains why coffee prices rise, even when beans don't. Rent, wages, logistics all increase, and the final price follows. But demand isn't always the same. You'll buy bread at almost any price. It's a necessity. But you can easily delay buying a new smartphone. This is called price elasticity of demand. The labor market works the same way. If there are many specialists, wages stagnate. If there's a shortage, companies are forced to pay more. Money and its role. For this entire system to function, it needs a universal language of value. That language is money. Without money, trade would be painfully inefficient due to the double coincidence of wants. Money serves three main functions: a medium of exchange, a unit of account, a store of value. But there's a condition. Money must hold its value. When it doesn't, inflation appears. Inflation is the general rise in prices. Your savings may look the same on paper, but they buy less. That's why central banks aim to keep inflation moderate, not too high, but not zero either. Banks, credit, and interest rates. Banks don't just store money, they create it through lending. When you deposit money, much of it is loaned out to the economy. This expands the money supply. The price of money is the interest rate, and it's set by the central bank. When rates rise, loans become expensive and the economy slows. When rates fall, money becomes cheaper and demand grows. That's why a bank can approve a loan 1 month and sharply change conditions the next. Government and the economy. Governments collect taxes and spend money. During crises, they automatically spend more than they collect, supporting the economy. These mechanisms are called automatic stabilizers. Public debt isn't a disaster by itself, as long as there is trust in the country's economy. Problems begin when that trust disappears. The global economy and interdependence. The modern economy is a network. A failure in one place quickly spreads worldwide. Semiconductors, energy, logistics. Everything is connected. That's why local problems often turn into global crises. Economic cycles and the future. The economy moves in waves: growth, peak, recession, recovery. Understanding these cycles helps you navigate the future. Today, 3 forces shape the economy most strongly: technology, climate, demographics. The world is becoming faster, more complex, and less predictable, but the core principles remain the same. Conclusion: we started with a cup of morning coffee and ended with global economic cycles. And now it's clear, all of this is part of one system. Your salary, store prices, loan